All right, so I'm gonna read number 13 for us. So it says because introduces a premise, right? So because addictive drugs are physically harmful, their use by athletes is never justified. So already I'm kind of leaning towards that this might be our conclusion. Their use by athletes is never justified. However, it could change. Like something might go on where that becomes a subsidiary conclusion. Excuse me, a subsidiary conclusion, but already I'm kind of like, ooh, that kind of sounds conclusion-ish. Purists, however, claim that taking massive doses of even such non-addictive drugs as aspirin and vitamins before competing should also be prohibited because they are unnatural. Oh, okay. So this is kind of an opinion of others, right? We're saying like, hey, this is these other people think. And then we come on and say, oh, change of this is ridiculous. So I like this even more as a conclusion. Almost everything in sports is unnatural. From high-tech running shoes to padded boxing gloves to highly specialized bodybuilding machines. Yet, none of these is prohibited on the basis of its being unnatural. Furthermore, we should be attending to far more serious problems that plague modern sports and result in unnecessary deaths in industries. Therefore, the use of non-addictive drugs by athletes should not be prohibited. So, this is kind of just like this first sentence, right? But it's the last one is going to be our main conclusion, which is the use of non-addictive drugs by athletes should not be prohibited, even though that's kind of saying the same things, like never justified versus. Oh, sorry. Our first sentence is talking about addictive drugs. And then this last one is saying non-addictive drugs. So those are not saying the same thing. But we're not, so our main conclusion is the last sentence. And then it says, which of the following can be inferred from the passage above? All right, so who wants to tell us a wrong, pick a letter and tell us why it's wrong first?
So B was wrong. There's nothing unnatural about the use of non-addictive drugs by athletes. I thought B was wrong because there's nothing unnatural about this. I'm sorry. We didn't know. They said that non-addictive drugs, nothing unnatural. I didn't know what that was true. So I went
Right.
ahead
I
and
think we actually are more on the side that they are unnatural. Like it's not like these because like ibuprofen and vitamins.
Mhm.
Because they say that because they are unnatural. So they do say these non-addictive
Okay.
drugs are unnatural. So yeah, B is the opposite. All right, Sky, give us any letter that you think is wrong and tell us why.
Okay. So C, it says the use of addictive drugs by athletes should be prohibited because addictive drugs are unnatural. Um, so the use of addictive drugs by athletes should be prohibited. Um, because addictive drugs are unnatural. I don't think that was I think it was actually opposite from what C is saying.
Okay, well, this is actually talking about this one's kind of tricky because it's talking about the use of addictive drugs, which
Yeah.
up here we talk about addictive drugs, which we do say that, well, we at least say that the use is never justified. But what is our reasoning for saying that we should not use addictive drugs?
The reason is because they are unnatural.
No, look at this first sentence here.
Yeah.
I think it's because they're physically harmful.
Oh yeah, physically harmful.
Where this answer choice is saying that the use of addictive drugs by athletes should be prohibited because addictive drugs are unnatural. This reasoning is wrong. We don't think that addictive drugs should be prohibited because they are unnatural, because even these non-addictive drugs are unnatural. And like that's just fine. We're not saying that that prohibiting on the basis of being unnatural is a good reason.
Yeah.
All right. Lynn, do another one.
Okay, so initially when I was reading it, now after going over it, I want to say A is wrong. Because what we're really looking for is not about unnatural. It's now, I think the main point of it is about the addictive drugs versus the non-addictive.
Wait, what kind of question is this?
Can be inferred.
Is this a bottom up?
Oh, okay.
What does inferred mean?
Assumed?
It actually means concluded. So,
Okay.
this is not the definition I was given when I was in school. Like, I always thought inferred meant like a good educated guess. But on the LSAT, inferred the strongest concluded.
Yeah.
So essentially what this is saying is which of the following can be concluded from the passage above. So if we're taking information from the top down to the bottom, what kind of question is this?
Oh, strongly.
Actually, it's a top down.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be mild, but what question stem is this, would you say? Like what, I mean, I kind of have it here at the bottom.
Must be true.
Must be true. Yeah, we're saying like which of the following must be true from the passage above, essentially is what this question is saying. So A, actually, I think you both got this right because you both said A, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's saying the fact that something is unnatural is not a sufficient reason. And what does sufficient mean?
Enough.
Enough is not, yeah. So essentially what A is saying is the fact that something is unnatural is not a good enough reason for banning it. Does that must be true based on the passage above?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Oh, wait, was A correct?
Yeah.
It's A, and then I went back and I was like, oh, maybe it's not A.
Well, because like we're not looking for something in particular here. We're just looking for like what must be true based on what happened above. So it might be the main point or it may not. Like we could say like technically the answer could say drugs or aspirin and vitamins are non-addictive drugs. If that was an answer, that would have to be true because that's said above type of thing.
Okay.
That is so funny.
So why is D wrong then, Lynn?
Okay, some of the unnecessary deaths and injuries in modern sports are caused by the use of addictive drugs by athletes. I know somewhere we did address unnecessary deaths and injuries, but I don't think that's what the main point was.
Well, it doesn't matter that it's not the main point, but for must be true questions. But this is saying, but what we say about unnecessary deaths and injuries though is we should be attending to far more serious problems that plague modern sports and result in unnecessary. So do we know what actually results in unnecessary deaths and injuries?
No.
No, that's why that one's wrong.
Okay.
And then why is E wrong, Sky?
I did not select E because it says the use of addictive drugs by athletes is a less serious problem than our unnecessary injuries. I think that is saying from the same sentence that we were just talking about that there's more other serious problems.
Well,
That can possibly
being unnatural. But why D is completely being wrong is do we ever compare addictive drugs to unnecessary injuries?
no.
No. So, I mean, your reasoning was right, but even like simpler, like we never talk about the only time we bring up addictive drugs is in the first sentence when we're like, hey, addictive drugs are never justified. But then we just completely switch and we start talking about non-addictive drugs.
Yep.
Awesome. And that's why A is correct. Great job.